Davis is really cool. It's like a college campus culture. So it's a large institution. There's a little city of Davis that's around the University of California, Davis. And there's like little shops, you can walk around, go 5 minute walk and you're in downtown. And I stopped at a little chocolate store. They sell chocolates and candies and stuff. And I walk in and it's just, a person in front of me, and I walk in and there's nobody behind me. So the vendor, the person, the cashier, an older gentleman, was like, okay, I'll help you, and it was the person in front of me. And then right behind me is an old lady. I'm like, all right, cool, I'm just waiting for my turn, got my backpack, chilling, whatever. He's like, okay, you right there, lady, I'll help you next. I was like, oh, okay, well, she was old, so all right, well, that's kind of nice, it's cool, he's helping an older woman, I'm a young guy, why not? He started doing that for about 3 different people, and I noticed that all of them didn't look like me. So I finally went up to the guy and like, yo, like I've been here for about 30 minutes. He's like, yeah, we don't really serve what you want here. I'm like, I just want some candy. Can I get some candy? He's like, no, we really don't serve them. I have to ask you to leave. And he got very, not aggressive. He got very anxious. So I was like, and here I am, literally 19-year-old kid, 20 maybe. I forgot how old I was. But backpack, college student, got my little fade going on. I'm like, what the hell? And at that moment, I didn't know that it was not even a microaggression. No, it was just straight racist right there. I didn't know that was a discriminatory act. I really felt different.
I would say my ethnicity is Mexicana or Mexican.
Latina.
Latino?
It's Latina and Guatemalan, Chapina, Chicana.
Mexican American.
Peruvian.
Chicano Latino.
I identify myself as Mexican, Latina, and as of now, I've started using more the term Chicana just because I know the definition now, and it's something that I wasn't, aware of when I was in high school. So my family is from a small town in the state of Jalisco, Mexico. So all my siblings, I have 5 siblings, they were all born in Mexico. My parents were born in that town, and I was the only one who was born in the States. So for that reason, I identify myself as Mexican, Latina, and as of now, I've started using more the term Chicana just because I know the definition now, and it's something that I wasn't, aware of when I was in high school, but I do identify. Whenever someone asks me, I'm like, oh, I'm Mexican, even though I was born in the States. So I guess for that reason, I could say like I'm Mexican American, but for the most part, I say I'm Mexican. So once again, I was the only one in my family born in the U.S., so I'm first generation American. And because my entire family was born in the States, my oldest brother was 11 when they moved to the States, and I was born a few months later. So because they have that culture ingrained in themselves, I grew up in that culture as well. So I feel like I haven't assimilated as much. Of course, there is new things that we do assimilate to, like of course the language, we speak it English, of course, but as time goes by, I do realize that sometimes I feel like although I am Mexican American, I do feel that I'm more Mexican, although like sometimes you feel that you're not either.
So I grew up in San Diego, California. I grew up very close to the border. I moved around within San Diego, so I grew up in Chula Vista. I moved to the East County, La Mesa, and then I went to school right by La Jolla. La Jolla is very white. So I would say growing up in San Diego, I did have a lot of diversity. Where I first grew up in Chula Vista, there's a lot of Mexicanos. At that time in the 80s and the 90s, you just had a lot of Mexican immigration. You weren't seeing a lot of the Central American immigration till I would say the late 90s, and by that time I had moved to East County, which is a different part of San Diego. So there was a lot more African Americans, there were some Guamanians, there were some Filipinos, but definitely same economic group. And then when I went to high school, I went to a magnet school. Just another word of saying let's just bust all the bright, smart brown people, put them in a white school. That's really what it was. So, you saw a lot of different variety. So I think I did grow up in a very diverse area, but it was still within the confines of class. It really, really was. I stick to the same class until about high school. Same economic class that was there since I was growing up in Chula Vista.
I grew up in San Jose, up north in the Bay Area in California. So it was pretty diverse. There were definitely a lot of mixes of people, just because the whole San Francisco area is very diverse, and because it's California. But in terms of the city I grew up in, my high school was not as diverse. It was a heavily white populated school. However, we did have African American and Asian and Latino students as well, but it was definitely predominantly white. So I did find myself being in between groups, just because I looked white but was actually Latina.
I went to high school at Verbum Day, a small Jesuit school in Watts, California. And hardships, I guess, just financial problems, whether that be through whether that come out or be manifested in transportation or housing or just the resources available to me throughout my life.
My high school offered 7 AP courses, and I participated in 5. Participated in AP Government and Politics, AP Environmental Science, AP English Language, AP Spanish Language, and AP Calculus.
I go to Cal State LA and my major is psychology with a minor in kinesiology. I want to be a physical therapist, so I also want to help the people who don't have the best insurance, so I want to start my own private practice so then they could have better opportunities.
Yeah, so I actually have a couple scholarship donors, and I have to kind of give them feedback in terms of what I'm pursuing and what I'm doing. And before I was pursuing my degree in psychology and political science, I was pursuing film, and so a lot of them pressured me to kind of turn towards the business route. And so in that sense, I have felt pressured, but I definitely changed my major because I felt that it was what I wanted to do, not because of what other people wanted me to do.
So I think when I first got here, I think I felt like I owed something to this country because my family was here and we were doing good, and so I think when I first got here, and probably most of my K through 12 education, I felt like I was indebted to this country because of how my family was doing. But I think now I feel like I don't really owe anything to this country. I think we are here because of a lot of U.S. economic interventions, and it is not necessarily like they welcomed us with open arms. But I think we're a product, a lot of our immigrant families, including my family, are a product of these economic interventions like NAFTA that caused the destabilization of Mexico. And as such, I often say we're economic refugees, that we had to come here because we couldn't afford to live in Mexico. So I now feel like I am more indebted to the people that have made it possible for me to be a professor, to have these opportunities, to be able to teach Chicano studies, I am more indebted to my community, to those people that have really fought to change things, rather than to a country that has destabilized a lot of other countries, has a history of colonialism, slavery, imperialism, that continues to really affect the lives of those that are most marginalized. So I think for me, it's just very, it's hard, right? Because I think obviously my family is doing well, but it's also like we live in a country that is still working through a lot of trauma, and people of color are the most affected by that.